So we follow a system here at Private Fitness. It's the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. We're trying to make it as simple and as absorbable as possible. So you can always go back to this video if you forget a step. But this is going to help A, correct posture, B, it's just going to be our warm-up sequence and how we get ready for our workouts. And then C, if you ever have pain or any issues like that, you can revert back to this. So we'll try to do a brief overview of how you can use this system for all those things. But let's jump into it. So ABCs, we're thinking apply pressure, begin lengthening, and then continue with strength. And so step one, or A, would be apply pressure. That's going to be using something like a foam roller like we have here. You could use varying levels. This one's really neat. It's got different intensities there. So varying levels of pressure. Foam roller is the main one that we'll use. For pain and stuff like that, often we'll use something a little bit more intense like a ball, like a lacrosse ball or something like that. But that's apply pressure. Then we begin lengthening, and so essentially that's stretching. We do the rolling before because it makes stretching more effective. But the begin lengthening part, that's just literally going into a stretch, right? Something like that. We often use these bands here as well for some of our stretching protocols as well. So we'll go over that in the future. And then C is continue with strength. So to give you a really quick example of that, if we're warming up for our upper body, we're gonna start by applying pressure using something like a foam roller on probably our pecs and lats would be a good example. We're then gonna begin lengthening. So we're stretching our overhead mobility using something like a band, or we'll give you a few different stretches. And then we're gonna continue with strengthening. And the reason that we do that is because we wanna create adequate stability and strength in the muscles that pull us into good posture and give us good positioning. So if we're gonna do something like a bench press, we're actually gonna wanna activate the rhomboids or the scapular stabilizers first, right? So we're gonna do something like a row. So often the way that we program, when you look at your programming, you'll have your mobility stuff, but the first couple strength movements are actually gonna be that step C, right? We're continuing by creating strength and creating stability. So you can think of those movements more as a muscle activation or a warm-up than a really tough exercise that we wanna lift a ton of weight on or go super intense on. So there's your ABCs. Then when it comes to the A portion, right, which is applying pressure, we split that into a 1, 2, 3 kind of system. And I'll show you that right now. If you want to pan this down, we'll see if this works, maybe it doesn't. But for example, something like our pecs, we're gonna split that into a 1, 2, 3 system, which essentially follows a basic protocol with every muscle. So it's going to be something along the lines of we're rolling, right? We're kind of working with the muscle tissue. That's our step one. Our step two is going to be called shearing or cross friction. And essentially we're working against the muscle tissue now. So we're really just breaking everything up. On the chest, it would look like this. We're kind of rolling through. And then we're going to finish, the third step is a pin and move. And again, using the chest as an example here, we would do something like an arm sweep. Again, we're just working through the entire muscle tissue to find our pain points. If you ever go through any of the steps and you have a spot that is, a 9 or 10 out of 10, really tough and really intense, for example, if I get to the bottom here and I find it's really painful, then we're always going to resort to just relaxing. So we're just laying over that roller, letting everything relax when we find those trigger points. And then otherwise, we're just working through to find the areas that need the most attention.